Welcome to Where Her Heart Speaks, a show designed to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also to help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine begins now.
Hi there, it's Coach Catherine. It's Women's History Month, and a lot of us are hearing often about being our authentic selves. And I have a question for you. I'm curious, do you struggle to stay in touch with your true authentic self, or are you often overwhelmed with trauma responses? It's time to face the facts. The fight or flight response is real, and it has a huge impact on your life. And this is why I've created an easy assessment to help you understand the state of your nervous system. You will be able to find out whether or not it's keeping you safe or if it's actually keeping you stuck. You'll be able to find out if it's allowing you to be your authentic self and thrive. If you're interested in learning more about your nervous system and how to experience more peace and calm in your life, don't wait any longer. I want to invite you to visit my website at www.catherinejames.com and take the assessment right there on the front page. Then I want to say welcome and welcome back. I am Catherine James, international speaker, best-selling author, trauma-informed coach, and your host for this show, Where Her Heart Speaks. As I said, it's Women's History Month, and I am always thinking, always wondering what I can bring to you that is really going to have an impact on your life. So I decided to open up this week with a question. How do you make history? How do you make history? This month, Women's History Month, was designed as a time to acknowledge the contributions women have made in American history. And while I am all for looking back and considering historical events, I am pressed to challenge the status quo. I am pressed to challenge the systemic shapings of today. Women have both consciously and unconsciously bought into this go along to get along, nice girl, take care of everyone else role and persona. Consciously, and for most, I'd probably say unconsciously. We're not aware. We're just shaped, right? And what I admire about many women historical figures is they held views and behaved in unconventional manners. They followed their hearts. They went against the grain, ignoring social messages that told how they should be or what they should do. They ignored all of that. and I love that. I believe that they did what they felt they were called or created to do. And I don't believe it was easy, like by no stretch of the imagination. And yet, they still did it. As we look at our world today, as we look at where things are, currently, things are challenging. Things are very complex. I was looking at a survey just recently by the American Psychological Association, and that survey revealed that women continue to report higher levels of stress than men. We probably could have guessed that, but when I see things like this, I become a bit disturbed. As I think about that, I think it's so interesting. If compared to the days of notable historical female figures such as, say, a Harriet Tubman or a Helen Keller or an Amelia Earhart or a Rosa Parks, if we compared it to those days, those times when they were living, we live in a time that is far more advanced, but we face many of the same challenges and inequalities. While those of us living today can look back and label these women, among others, as historical figures, I question whether that was even their goal. I just don't think, I don't know, that they woke up each morning aiming to one day become a historical figure or to land in the history books for that matter. It seems to me that they simply answered a call or followed a longing. And I love this. I love this because it tells me they had a level of self awareness, self trust, and courage to behave abnormally. They weren't behaving like most, to behave in an uncommon fashion for their times. They were different. How many of us are afraid of being different? And I just want to invite you to pause and reflect on the times and conditions of any woman you know who has done something notable. Just think about the times and the conditions in which they lived. I now want to invite you to reflect on the times and the conditions of today and ask yourself, are they ripe for you to pursue your heart's passion? Are they ripe for you to pursue your purpose? Now, I realize that some of you listening may have answered yes. Yes, times and conditions are ripe for you to pursue your purpose. And others may have answered no. And I will say, whichever way you answered, you're right. You're right. And I will say, pursuing your purpose doesn't really have anything to do with the times, but it has everything to do with how you have been shaped, how you have been conditioned. And as a result of your shaping, your belief system. Maya Angelou said, stepping onto a brand new path is difficult. But it's not more difficult than remaining in a situation which is not nurturing to the whole woman. Now, I don't know about you, but I grew sick and tired of being in situations that were not nurturing to my whole woman. Was it difficult to step onto a brand new path? Yes, absolutely. Was it difficult to walk away from a six-figure income to step into a coaching full time when I knew very little about starting a service based business? Yes, absolutely. Was it difficult to stare my fear of failing in the face day in and day out? Yes, absolutely. Is it difficult today to know I have no control over the speed of the growth of my business, no matter how much work I do? Yes, it is. It is difficult. And these difficulties are less painful than failing to nurture my whole self. So I choose the difficulties. And you may be feeling the pain associated with not having your whole woman nurtured. Be that in your career, relationships, or even just honoring yourself. If you're secretly or openly experiencing that pain, I want to share a few suggestions or areas you may need to change in order to step onto your new path with more ease. And I'm going to start this by saying what got you here won't take you there. I know in the church setting, there's a saying, new levels equal new devils. Like it's something that you've not experienced or dealt with before. And because you've not experienced or dealt with that before, you have to have new tools. It's going to feel like the devil. It's just unfamiliar. But you have to have new tools. You have to have new methods and strategies. What you used in the past to get you here was good for getting you here. It was good for back then. It was good for that period of your life. But what got you here is not going to take you there. The definition of insanity, Einstein says, is to keep doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. If you're using the same tactics you used to get you here, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get the same results. And because your goal is to get someplace different, it's going to appear as if you're not getting any results at all, because these results are familiar with you. They don't look any different. So it's going to feel like you're not getting results at all, but in fact, you're getting the same results that you've been getting, that you've always gotten. So you'll want to learn or implement new tactics. The best way to learn new tactics is to solicit support. Solicit support. Many times we are told to learn from those who have already gone before us or are already doing what it is that we want to do. And I'm not going to say this is necessarily bad advice, but what I've come to understand is that their way may or may not be our way. Their way may or may not be your way. We are all uniquely designed. And with that, I believe we all have our own unique way of doing things. We must come to trust ourselves to understand what our unique way looks like. Coaches believe the answers reside inside of each person. We oftentimes need support to draw those answers out and to learn which tactics are best for us. So understand that as you step onto your new path, you'll have to learn new tactics, new strategies, new methods. And in addition to these new tactics, you will likely also need a new circle, your sphere of influence. I remember listening to Steve Harvey a few years ago, and he told of a conversation that he and his dad would have before he became the Steve Harvey we know today. When he was the Steve Harvey who was trying to get to the Steve Harvey we know today, he said his dad would tell him, everyone who comes with you can't go with you. I want to say to you, as you aim for different aspirations, as you pursue your purpose or take what I'll call history making actions, you are going to have to let go of some people. You're going to have to let go of some people. Right now, you have people around you who are comfortable with the way things are for them in their lives. Or if they're not comfortable, they are unwilling to get uncomfortable, any more uncomfortable. They're unwilling to venture into the land of unfamiliar. And because of that, they will question you. They may even mock you. And if it's like some of the people that were around me, they will also talk about you to others. Listen, people who don't understand, people who do not have the capacity to walk alongside this version of you, people who refuse to accept or respect this version of you, you've got to let them go. You've got to let them go. You've changed. You've changed the way you talk, the way you think, and the way you behave. But they can only see the you used to be. Yet you have got to let them go. I remember earlier in life, as I reflect back on who I used to be, I was all about business. I was driven by results and I needed details. You would often hear me say, I don't have time for emotional people. I don't have time for drama. I was quick to say what was on my mind. And if I'm being truthful, there was a fire that came with that. And some people thought I was rude. Some people said I was curt. Some thought of me as a BI. and there's a bit of truth in all of it. I wasn't always the nice girl. I wasn't a mean girl, but I wasn't the nicest. And you've heard me own my perfectionism as one of my trauma responses in order to minimize mistakes, which my nervous system was terrified of. I may have behaved in manners that were not considered pleasant to many. I may have had expectations and demands that seemed unreasonable to most. Maybe. And that is not who I am today. Now, I still aim for excellence because it is now what I desire, and it's from a place of desire as opposed to a place of survival. I can make conscious decisions and choices about the importance of excellence in any given situation. And I can pause to ask myself if it really matters or whether I should just let it go. But I couldn't do that in the past. In the past, my nervous system would take over and I would push and attempt to force not only myself, but also others to move the way I thought was best because I had to reach the desired outcome no matter what. Who can relate? That's a tough place to be in. Now that I'm on the other side, I see it. It wasn't when I was in it, but now that I'm on the other side, that's a tough place to be in. And again, I will say that is how I used to behave. That's not who I am today, thank God. Today, I'm very much aware of the fact that I can only control me. And from that awareness, I set boundaries. I state what works for me and what doesn't. And I am so amazed when I hear statements such as, you always want to control things, or you always think things have to be perfect. Yeah, I'm amazed. Like, I know that the people making those statements are unable to see me for who I am today. So, who in your circle cannot see you for who you are today? Who in your circle cannot recognize your growth? Another reason why you may want to change your circle is because you no longer fit. You've become more expansive, you've expanded. One of my very first mentors used to say, if you want to know where you will be 5 years from now, look at the people you spend your time with. Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah, pause was needed right there. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are your 5? Are you averaging out to a number less than you know you really are? The next suggestion I would offer is to change your environment. A dear friend of mine recently introduced me to Caroline Wanga. If you don't know who she is, look her up. Wanga, Wanga. She is the CEO of Essence Magazine, and she is unapologetically herself. We hear that a lot, and it sounds good, but I am going to say Caroline Wanga lives it. And I have fallen in love with who she is and how she exists. I've talked about the importance of being in spaces where you're celebrated and not tolerated. Unfortunately, not enough women take that to heart. For a long time, I said it but didn't live it. I allowed toleration due to fear of not being advanced, fear of being let go, fear of being judged. And with that fear came a shrinking of who I was, a silencing of my voice. I changed me to make others comfortable. And Caroline Wanga says, never change the who, change the where, and don't stop until you find the where your who is best. Did you catch that? Like, that is good stuff. Never change the who, change the where. And don't stop until you find the where your who is best. Listen, it wasn't until I stopped being afraid. Stop being afraid of something that I had no control over. Stop being afraid of something that happened anyway. That I had the courage to keep the who and change the where. It wasn't until I stopped being afraid. I love that she adds, don't stop until you find the where your who is best. In other words, find the place that celebrates you, your authentic self. The next suggestion I would make is to change your nervous system. Change your nervous system to change your thinking. And if these were in order, this one would be first. Human beings have an innate need to feel safe. Safe first is our makeup. It's how we were created. It's how we are hardwired. We must feel safe. So if any of the aforementioned creates physiological feelings of danger, guess what? You're not going to take action. You're not going to do anything with this. This is just information. Working as an ally, I'm going to say your thinking brain will support what you feel by telling you all of the reasons why you should not do something other than what's being suggested. Another Maya Angelou quote says, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better." But I say, do the best you can until you can be better. Then, when you can be better, do better. Why is that? Because being better is about healing, not thinking. You may have heard me say before, you can't fix a body problem with a brain solution. Too many of you are trying to think your way out of or think your way into. And this is why we're seeing surveys and statistics showing increased levels of stress and overwhelm amongst women. We're spending too much time thinking and not enough time healing. Having more knowledge, it doesn't change anything. Change happens only when a different action is taken. And this is the issue I have with some of the DEI trainings. They offered knowledge, but they did not address the embodied shaping that causes people to think and behave as they do. That part was missed. And I believe that that's a lot of the reason why some of them have been ineffective, but that's for another conversation. So I want to say again, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, it will stop you from taking action. The thing with this is it happens unconsciously and automatically. And when we get the knowledge but still can't act, we create, again, unconsciously, stories, which are sometimes lies, to justify our behavior. So, if these suggestions were in order, again, this one would be number one: to change the nervous system. When we change the nervous system, we can change our thinking and we can change our actions. As we move through Women's History Month, I want to challenge you to look at your life. Are you living according to systemic conditioning? Are you staying inside of the lines, or are you listening and following your heart? Are you pursuing your purpose? A purpose that only you can fulfill. A purpose that may just one day make history. My prayer for you this week is that you will seriously examine your nervous system. I pray that you will face that which doesn't feel good and give yourself permission to move toward the uncomfortable in the spirit of having your whole woman nurtured. I pray that your soul has been pricked and your longing will become so intense that you can no longer ignore it. Both I and the world need you to pursue the purpose you were created to share with us. And as I close, I want to remind you that in this life, we get to choose. Choose to listen from the place where your heart speaks, and choose to live a sensational life. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for listening to Where Her Heart Speaks with Coach Catherine, where Catherine aims to challenge and disrupt ineffective thoughts and behaviors to help you not only embody peace, joy, calm, and certainty, but also help you live the life you've always dreamed of living. Follow Catherine on Facebook and Instagram at I Am Catherine James and visit www.catherinejames.com. Remember, to live the life of your dreams, you must go within and return to the place where your heart speaks.